It would help if I played this song, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it would help. Right, Eric?
Hey.
Oh, good. So we'll redo this. And do one more time. It would help if it was louder. All right, from the beginning. All right, I think we're live. I hope we're live. My screen is freaking lagging behind, but I am your commissioner, House Dondarrion. I'm joined by Mike of the Iron Bank, who'll be in and out because he's in some pretty rough storms right now, and he is currently in. I was 50-50 there for a second, but he's currently in. So, Mike, how are you?
Like you said, it's my turn for the thunderstorms going across the East Coast right now. So between a freaked out baby and a freaked out dog, life's good.
Well, stay safe because I previously mentioned this to Mike, but we were in tornado watch out here, and I don't think there's any tornadoes. A lot of hail, or not hail, a lot of thunder and a lot of lightning, but no twister. And then also joining me, Eric of the Children of the Forest. Eric, how are you?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
You heard it here first. He is here, so he doesn't get fined.
Nice.
Speaking of those that aren't here, Jeremy of House Reed is not. We'll see. Maybe he'll hop in. But for now, he's not here. So we'll do a pretty quick run through here this week and maybe get to next week. We don't have a lot of time. We're a little later than we normally are. I'm going to go ahead and get the link out, though, to anybody that wants to follow along because we do get a couple people.
Yeah, I think Ian mentioned he wanted to join, do nothing more than try and influence said sweepstakes. But, you know, who knows?
Yeah, so do we want to lead with the sweepstakes, or do we want to go to save the sweepstakes for the end or the middle, or what do we want to do?
I'll mention it while it's ongoing and see if what else happens throughout the pod. But, yeah, I've been trying to make deals for the last, I want to say, 3 or 4 weeks to add a third quarterback. Is not working, so sweepstaking. So got a pretty extensive 12, 11 people on my trade bait and looking for a third quarterback. So had 3 offers that I'm considering right now, and by the end of the podcast, I will select one.
All right. So if you didn't get your offer in, get your offer in now. If you did, make it better so that you get whatever it is that you want from him. So looking at, hopefully the scoreboard works. I don't know what's going on with our scoreboard here. And it currently looks like it's not going to work for me. So that's totally awesome. I'll have to figure out what to look more into the scoreboard, and by I and we, I mean Jeremy. We'll have to figure out what's going on with the scoreboard. It seems to work on mobile just fine. That's what I use. But on the computer here for you guys, doesn't seem to be working, and that's like league wide, so across other leagues. So see if we can get that figured out. In the meantime, I think it's reports, leagues. Where's Greyjoy when you need him? Weekly results. There it is.
Yeah, Battlefront.
So on, yeah, I got it. So on the docket here, the first game I have is mine because it's sorted by who I put in here first. So my game's in here first against House Sanagar, a win that I thought I was easily going to get last week on the podcast. This week's it comes true. I thought it was funny because I think it was last week when I played Targaryen. Mike was like, "Oh, it's going to be 150, like race 150. I don't see how you're going to get there." Well, this week I got there. I'm just playing the wrong team. And I got there with a pretty shitty performance from my running backs, so I had to figure out what's going on with them. But I did make it to 150, which I think is the most points that I've put up to date in this league. So I was very pleased about that. And I mean, it's not like Santi had a terrible, terrible week, but Ryan Tannehill absolutely killed him. If he had anything from Tannehill, it might have been a little bit closer, but yeah. So he falls to 1-3, which is probably a good thing for you over there in Essos and Dorne to have a division mate lose.
Look, it wasn't a good week for Essos and Dorne, but that would be burying the lead.
And then for whatever reason, so I told you like my bounces around. My next matchup is House Royce versus House Stark, this was like the upset of the week. I think. Holy shit, did that go foul? Sorry, I'm watching the Colorado-Chicago game here. It's top 8. Really good game. Royce and Stark. So Stark upset Royce by 43 points. Big week from Watson. Big week from Cooper. Big week from Calvin Ridley, Tariq Cohen. Yeah, and then he picked up the second quarterback this week, something that he hasn't had. So Rosen steps in as the starter. He now has a second quarterback. The team put up 143 points, and he got absolutely nothing from Dalvin Cook, which I don't think you can say is going to be the case going forward. So is House Stark on the up and up in the North?
Well, I mean, first off, yes. Second off, when you're starting Kelvin Benjamin in your lineup, that's not a good thing. And third, OJ putting up the 0, like you said with Santi. Not what you're really looking for to be conducive to a winning record. So after tough loss against Harding, definitely did not show up against Stark.
Yeah, it's weird that Kelvin Benjamin's on his starting line. He doesn't have any options here. What the fuck was that? Thunder. Holy shit. Yep. All right. So get a little taste of that would have been really awesome if we were talking about the Stormlands and Crownlands right now, but we're not. But anyway, so I haven't started Kelvin Benjamin. Maybe you start Naheem Hines. The other guy, Marlon Mack, was rolled out like a couple days in advance, and Naheem Hines might have been a better start there. But a team that at its core puts up a lot of points. The O.J. Howard injury will be interesting to follow. I think you should be all right. But the core there is good enough to carry the rest of this team, but there's not. Kenyon Drake's been god-awful. Kelvin Benjamin's god-awful. And it's kind of like, I know Sam Darnold's young. I know he's shown flashes, but it seems like he's got 1.5 quarterbacks that are not 2. So it'll be interesting to see how his team goes forward. And by he, I mean Evan. So my next one is House Harding and House Forrester. This is a really good matchup, really high scoring. Both teams went over 140 points. Harding just managed to score 170. But his highest scoring quarterback was Joe Flacco. Probably not how he envisioned the season going. He had Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott. So maybe Eric can talk about the Dak Prescott here because I think Eric started Dak regardless anywhere, regardless of the matchup, regardless of the bad weeks. And he did decent, 18 points, better than what he's been doing. But he did significantly better than Russell Wilson here. So kind of a shake-up at the quarterback position here until he figures out which quarterbacks are steady and which ones are going to score points. But the rest of the team is solid.
Dak is he's a little upside because the Cowboys are just running it and playing defense. So they're like, all right, Dak, here you go. Here's 3rd down and long. Try to get it. And if he doesn't get it, they just punt. It's just that they want to eat up as much time as possible, and they don't care if they score. And it's been working, so they're not going to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. So this puts the North in an interesting spot. I mean, obviously this was probably the toughest matchup cross conference here for Forrester against Harding. But to drop to 3-1 and then have Reed at 2-2, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. His team might be the next one. It is not, of course, go figure. But talk about Reed here in a little bit, and we just talked about Stark on how his team's possibly up and up. Those two teams are much, much younger than House Forrester. To only be a game back in terms of competing. We could slowly see a shift there. We've seen the shift on the Fire side of things, where some of the other divisions, I think Mike's talked about this before, some of the other conferences or some of the other divisions in the conference over there have been shook up. Like we've had some risers in the Stormlands, Essos and Dorn, the powerhouses of the Sand Snakes and Santigar have kind of fallen off. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. Egan gets a win. Holy crap. I don't think any of us saw that coming. I really thought he was going to be Castamered. Speaking of Castamer, I think the favorites right now in the ice is Brotherhood without banners. And then in Fire, it's two dog race between Casterly and Bullware, who's already been Castamered once before. So we'll see how that goes. But are we just marking this one up as a fluke win, or do we see Egan getting another win in 2016? Is this it? Is this it for Bolton as well, or are we going to just mark these off as probably the best chance Bolton would have had to get his second win, and probably the only chance Egan's going to get at getting a win? Is that what we're going to chalk this up to?
Yeah, Bolton is rebuilding in the blatantest of terms. So it is what it is. I think he traded Julio for Godwin and Williams, and that was the big bad signal on this guy that he's rebuilding. So this is what it is. If Egan's going to get wins, it's going to be against Baelish, or it's going to be against someone like Bolton. So no surprise here.
Yeah. And speaking of Baelish, he played House Reed. So I really wanted to pump up House Reed because he put up 140-plus points as well. There were probably 8 or 9 teams that did that, and that's no easy task. So I guess we do have to applaud him for the 146, but he needed only probably half of that to beat Baelish anyways. I don't know what happened to Josh Allen. He was really good last week. I believe it was last week he was really good. This week he doesn't even get 2 points. Baelish has some other guys on here. Not sure why he's keeping James White. Not sure why he won't move him, but yeah, there's nobody else on this team scoring points for someone that's seemingly looking for an early first next year. To only get, I think the total for his bench players, which is I mean, there's a lot of players there. And it's not a full roster on the bench, but there's a good number of them, and they only scored 3.2 points combined. So definitely going for a low PP. But having James White is not going to help you in that venture. But nonetheless, I was looking at Reed's bench, and it also went off. So Reed really didn't even have to set a lineup this week. Really, anything he would have put in his lineup probably would have won him. Mike Davis at 28 points, Duke Johnson at 13, Taylor Gabriel at 29, 2 other players at 10 points. Pretty good week for House Reed. He does lose Tyler Eifert, though. Did any of you guys watch that game? That was the only game I got for whatever reason. I usually have 2 games at 1 o'clock. The Cincinnati-Atlanta game was the only one I had this week. And I watched that dude's ankle snap in half, and it was absolutely disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah, that came on I think it was, what was it, Red Zone? And they're like, look, we're showing a replay. Do not watch it. So, of course, we watched it. That was not good.
Yeah, if you didn't watch it, it's kind of like your ankle's supposed to be like this, and it was kind of like this, which was just absolutely disgusting.
Oh, I was watching the game when it happened. I was with Pat Bolton, and I was the only person who caught it. I was like, "Oh my God, don't look!" And everyone looked, and it was brutal on replay. It's not meant to be played in slow mo. That's for sure.
No, and that's the thing. Like I said this, I don't know who I was watching with, but I said it to somebody, and I was just like, you would think by now, like they would play that back in the booth so that the guys in the booth can see what happens before they play it live. Like they slow mode that up and had his ankle crack under. Like they had the good angle, but the angle where you could see his whole foot go like this was the one that they slow mode. And it's just like, really, like, we didn't need to see that. Like, you could have just played that and be like, hey, look, this is bad. Like, we're not going to replay it. Here's what happened. But sooner or later, they'll figure it out. Who won this matchup? I've got Tully and White Walker. Oh, Tully by 10. So this one was close. I thought White Walkers was actually going to get this win. Due to Watkins, being injured and coming out early and not having any points, Tyler Croft, because Evan Ingram didn't play, gets put in and he didn't have any points. Just pretty bad week all around for House Tully. He's got a lot of points on his bench, but I don't think you can fault him for starting the lineup that he did. He was down Christian McCaffrey. Again, this is one of those young pieces, like young pieces with hit or miss upside, and he'll be fighting that battle all season long. White Walkers also doesn't have a tight end. It seems like a lot of people don't have a tight end. He's missing Adrian Peterson on a bye, but he falls to 1-3, I believe. Yeah, 1-3. Probably about where I had him. I think at the beginning of the season, some people had him up there in the ranks of the better teams, but no real stud at running back. Wide receiver, he's got a bunch of guys that are scoring points, but not consistently, and no tight end. So interesting to see if he kind of makes a move here to rebuild or continues to collect old heads.
Yeah, simple. If 4 of your players get outscored by Derek Carr, and it includes both your quarterbacks, you're not going to win. Simple.
Yeah. Speaking of Derek Carr, I had a heck of a game the other night. Brotherhood without Brotherhood's without Night's Watch. Brotherhood without banners, first Night's Watch. Night's Watch wins here. I think that's his first win of the season. Practically a give me. Chris Carson's in the lineup. I started Chris Carson too. I also had him on FanDuel. I didn't see that he was marked out, so I don't know what the hell happened there. I don't know if that was a super late scratch or one of those things. But yeah, he's ruled out early on. A couple plays. Oh, did he? Then I just missed it because I will go through and set lineups and kind of go from there. And I think from 1 o'clock, I think he was in. So I had him in FanDuel. I had him in other stuff. I just never changed him. So I missed that one. So Nice Watch apparently misses that one as well. Tariq Cohen on his bench probably would have been a start there. Would have put up big numbers. Still gets the win regardless. Brotherhood's bad, man. His team's bad. So we'll see. It's one of those, like, the pieces that he does have to sell, like, he probably isn't. Like, the only ones that are worth selling are probably Crowell, but at one point this past week he's been up and down. I don't watch the Jets play. Maybe you two do because you're out that way. But I think Crowell's been up or down, so I don't think you can get a whole lot for him. Javorius Allen's kind of like in a goal line, third down type role for Baltimore, so I'm not sure how much you can actually get for him. The rest of these pieces are absolutely worthless outside of Odell Beckham. So this is bad. This might be like, I know I give Egan a hard time, but this roster might be worse than Egan's right now.
I got to say though, I'm intrigued by Allen. Not necessarily saying he's going to be good, but what do we normally try and target? We either try and target goal line, or we try and target the receiving back.
Yep.
Allen's both.
Yeah, it's hard for me in a league where you're only starting 8 to go ahead and give Javorius Allen the nod every single week. But in a lot of best ball leagues, I have a good share of Javorius Allen. In other leagues, I have in this league as well. I have Alex Collins shares, and I've paired Javorius Allen, and there have been weeks where I've started Allen over Collins, but. It's one of those, like, do you pay up for him? Do you try to, like, lowball? Like, the market price, and it's the same thing with James White. It's just what he's worth. No one's going to sell for him because he's scoring points, and it's just one of those, like, I doubt he ever gets moved type of deal. It would have to be a part of a package for something else would be my guess, and I just don't see that happening with this team.
Moving along.
Yeah, moving right along here. Free Folk and Malister. I think this one was a blowout. Yeah, it was a blowout, but Malister still put up 120 points. Jordan Howard killed him. Starting the 2 tight ends there killed him.
On purpose to kind of spite us.
Yeah, maybe after we tell him he doesn't have a tight end and then he puts up. Now, listen, 5 or 8 points out of your tight end is not that bad. I mean, he was better than what he was getting. I'm not going to say that dude's name for Denver because I'll absolutely butcher his last name, but Jeff H. might be worth it now that Jake Butt's out and Troy Fuma something rather, the rookie is still not back. So Jeff H might be an option. He might have dumb lucked himself into a tight end here, which makes his team. It makes his team a lot more rounded, a little bit better. That 8 points, if you get 8 points out of him a week, that'll really help you out. Free Folk rolled though. His team's getting hot. His team's getting healthy. His team's getting off suspension. So it'll be interesting to see. If anybody can catch him beyond the wall, and I know that's Eric's division. Free Folk, I believe, Free Folk rolls to 4-0. I don't know what anybody else in that division is. Maybe Eric follows a little closer, but I think everybody else down there is 2-2.
No, I'm 2-2. White Walkers and Night's Watch are 1-3.
Right. Okay. So he's got the two game lead there. Any worry about this lineup and catching this team?
Oh yeah, I'm not catching it. No way.
Also, shout out to Ham for the efficiency rating of 96.8% on the week. Congrats. Greyjoy's not with us tonight, but he played Eric. Eric is with us. Thoughts on the matchup? How did it go? I mean, I think at one point you were winning, projected to win, and then Alvin Kamara happened.
Yeah, I was going up against Alvin Kamara in my hometown dynasty where I was playing Bolton, so he crushed me. In the redraft league I run at home, I was going against Kamara and lost by 30 points, so that was fun. I just got fucked by Kamara last week. And the only reason why it really sucks is because I traded him for Crabtree at the beginning of the 2017 season. So Crabtree gave me like a solid 3 catches for 29 yards in this matchup. So, yeah, it kind of really sucks. I suck.
Yeah, that's looking back at it though. It's not much you can do about it. It's not like you traded Crabtree or traded a top pick for Crabtree. That was a mid to late first that just kind of dumb lucked into something really, really good. Yeah, so it's interesting that the Greyjoy, no one else really particularly had a good week. Some hit or misses there, but Kamara carried him. And we'll get the House one eventually, too. And same deal there. Nobody else really did anything. Actually, Shifts Ridley, so he did do something. But Kamara seems to be carrying these two teams and really probably carrying anybody that has Kamara in any other league. Is this something that we think keeps up? Mark Ingram will be back this week, so maybe not the full-time share, but I don't know. Thoughts, Mike?
I mean, I think Ingram's going to come back. There's been a clear fact that they haven't been able to run between the tackles very well, except against the Giants because, well, they can't really stop anything right now. So I think Ingram's going to get the 15 to 20 carries. Kamara, 20 carries, probably going to drop to 15, but not going to be major. And again, a big part of his big game this last week was, I think, a 42-yarder he broke to finish off the game. So, again, a Kamara, I think I saw someplace, is already above replacement level, which, again, I think it was RB36 pace, and we're 4 games in. So it's one of two things. Either he's going to slow down with Ingram back, or he's going to be in Jarvis Landry territory where we keep saying, oh, this isn't sustainable, this isn't sustainable, this isn't sustainable. And then he keeps doing it over and over again and is the outlier to any statistic. So we revisit at the halfway point, but right now I wouldn't bet on Kamara putting up this many points going forward.
Yeah, and just timeout real quick. Anybody that follows baseball, the Cubbies just tied it up, bottom 8, 2 outs. It's 1-1. So chaos is ensuing on my television. So we'll move into Mike's matchup against House Targaryen, one that he, last week he said, I really don't want this matchup. I'm not liking this. I I'm not really liking this either because Targaryen seems to have dumb luck stumbled onto Philip Lindsay. He did the same thing last year with Keelan Cole. Tyler Boyd seems to have been, reborn in Cincinnati this season. Targaryen was also one, I can't remember if it was Cohen or I think it was Carson. He had Carson as a 4th or 5th round pick last year. And I stole him from him, but man, to have in my division Swan so accurate with her first round picks and Targaryen getting these gems in the 4th and 5th round. I mean, Keelan Cole, Philip Lindsay, and Chris Carson in a 2-year span, turning 4th and 5th round picks into gold is just it's a killer to sit here and watch.
Yeah, and look, this was my team. So 2 things I'll say about this. 3 things. One, similar to my comment earlier, when Matt Ryan outscores 4 of your starters, and that includes both your quarterbacks, you're not going to win the game. Second off, probably my best performer, Diggs, getting canceled out wasn't helpful. Third, I had a deal that I thought was in place when I was kind of moving things around last week, which would have given me a better starter this week than Fitzpatrick, a better tight end starter than Hooper, and a better receiver starter than Fitzgerald, which actually would have, I think, narrowed this to about a 1-point gap, and that just didn't happen, so that was a lot of fun too. But last but not least, I can't complain too much because literally the only reason I won last week, I think it was against either Faceless or Santy, was because Drew Brees went full God mode. So I can't complain the next week that he puts up an 8.5 for me when he literally won the week for me last week. So, the shit happens. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, and you got some guys coming. Doug Baldwin had his first game back of the 2019 season. He put up 8 points. It's not a ton, but he'll get there. That's coming. And you've got your young pieces here. I don't know. Again, Mike Davis, 27 points. Maybe you've got Chris Carson there. Maybe Seattle's got the running game figured out because Carson had 20-some points the week before. Mike Davis has 20-some points this week. So maybe now if they figure out who's going to run the ball and who's healthy, you'll be all right there as well.
We'll see. But yeah, don't need to worry too much about this. Targaryen kicked my ass. And let's maybe switch over to the only Essos and Doran team that won.
It's not Sand Snakes, is it?
No, it's Faceless.
Nope. So Sand Snakes lost as well with Tom Brady and House Swan. She put up 146 points, which is ridiculous. And then we'll slide down to Faceless and House Fell. Faceless put up 130 points. I think he won on I was playing Xbox with Eric the other night, and Kareem Hunt scored at the very end of the game, or 4th quarter-ish. And I said, well, I think that won the game for somebody, and that somebody was Matt. I think that the matchup there was Kareem Hunt versus Royce Freeman, so that was going back and forth. Kareem Hunt had the yardage early on, then Royce Freeman scored, and it put House Fell up, and then Kareem Hunt scored at the end, and Faceless walked away with it there. But holy shit, 43 points from Mitchell Trubisky.
That's just been fun. So my home dynasty league, there's been a nice little back and forth. Literally, one of the other owners in the league is one of my best friends. I keep calling myself all the wrong moves, and he literally has been making all of the wrong moves for his team. So again, stood pat at running back with Ingram and McCoy and no real running back, so he's been lacking there. Spent up to get Trubisky 2 weeks ago, dropped him last week to grab Josh Allen after his big game. So literally is just completely screwing his team up. Won the league last year as an Empire League as well, so is costing himself a chance to win that Empire pot as we go here. But it's quite humorous. But great by Trubisky.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Falls to 0-4. It's one of those things, like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but there's sometimes where I get, damn, like, I feel bad. Like, Gavin's a good dude. His team's good. He's put up a shit ton of points. I think he's been up around 100 points or over 100 points each of the 4 weeks. 0-4 is just bad luck, I think. I really do. I think he'll probably pick up 2 wins here against Essos and Dorn at some point. Just not sure when. I play Fatty Matty next week. I'm going to whoop his ass. He's got no Trubisky. Somebody else is missing. I've got a full lineup, so he also does not have a second quarterback. He only has one. So it's going to be a beatdown of epic proportions next week. You heard it here first. Pack the bags, Maddie. I'm coming for you. Lannister and Tyrell. I don't know. I really wish it was easier to tell who won. Tyrell got steamrolled. Good for him. Ryan Tannehill absolutely did nothing. I don't know what happened. I didn't watch that game, but Forster probably wanted to shoot himself. 122 points from Lannister. His bench goes off. I don't think he's started the right guys yet. He hasn't gotten it figured out at running back. He's got Lindsey and Booker and Freeman, so that'll be interesting to see how he juggles that. Moving forward, because I don't think there's any doubt here that this is a playoff team. Become playoffs, he's going to have to pick the right running back to start each week. I think he's got 5 or 6 wide receivers that he's starting on a daily basis. So he's going to have to make the choice at running back. And I think he made it harder for himself. I know he didn't have any the first couple of weeks, and he bought a couple here, but I think he's made it harder on who to choose in terms of which spot start he's going to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you don't start 2 quarterbacks if you have 2 quarterbacks to start, just based off the floor that usually provides you. But, he won, so good for him.
Yeah, terrible percentage for both of these teams. 67.4% efficiency for Tyrell, 76.4 for Lannister. Moving on, Casterly and Hightower, battle of hometown buddies. Beatdown, 152 to 88. A lot of these players were on Casterly's team. Well, not a lot, but Robert Woods was. David Johnson was. I'm trying to think if there's another player that was over there. But anyways, absolutely epic beatdown. Casterly is at 0-4 as well. And I think Boer has him on the points for Casterman right now, but I'm not 100% sure. Johnny Targaryen is also messaging me telling me to fuck off because I told him he dumb lucked it, which he did dumb luck. I don't know if I told the story about the police officer that locked himself out of his car, but Johnny did that. So that was, if I didn't tell you that, y'all should know that because that's absolutely hilarious. Now I don't know what happened. Here we go. So Hightower over Casterly. Casterly team, it's good on paper, but it's just not winning games. Thoughts on what's going on? I don't know why he started Josh Adams. I don't even know if he was active. He is a big donut there, but definitely probably some different. I say it like I would ever think of starting Josh Adams. You'd have to think that anybody on this bench you plug in over Josh Adams. Not that it matters, but
yeah, let's take it. And it's very simple why you started Josh Adams. Philadelphia running back.
Yeah, he has all of them. I have Corey Clement. Does he have Corey? Oh, Corey Clement didn't play. He has Clement. Okay, never mind. Moving on. Bainfort and Boulware. I believe this was a steamroller. Although Boulware did look better this week, 95 points. He had both his quarterbacks play. He had 50 points there. Cook let him down. I don't know why he's playing Kyle Juszczyk. Godwin let him down. He likes Cam Meredith, and he doesn't have a tight end. Interesting. So he doesn't really – there's really not that many options. McCaffrey's on a bye. So maybe this team will start winning games. Maybe next week we'll see. I don't know what the bye weeks are, but he's looking at Mariota, Wentz, Cook, McCaffrey, Corey Davis, Godwin, somebody else, and Mike Gesicki, who's not going to score any points. But that's a pretty decent score. He probably is going to be right around this 95, 100, 105 points a week. And if he does that consistently, he'll probably win a game or two, taking him out of the Casimir picture. Not going to talk about Bainfort. His team's loaded. They scored points. At least I thought this one was a big upset. Payne over Cockshaw. Big quarterback play. Nick Chubb. I think for a while Payne was losing, and I was like, it was one of those things. I looked at his roster, I was like, why the hell is he starting Nick Chubb? Because at that point he had like 0 points. I was like, he's got to have a better option than starting Nick Chubb at running back. Found out that he really doesn't have a better option. And then Nick Chubb broke, I think, what was a 60-some yard run for a touchdown or something like that. So congrats to House Payne on the second
41.
win. 41.
63 and 41. So
63. So what did I say? 64? See, I was close. That was
very
just
close.
throwing it
The
out
fact that
there.
he had 3 rushes for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns is just fucking stupid.
Yeah, so maybe Cleveland needs to give him the ball a little bit more. But yeah, so Leonard Fournette probably killed Cockshaw there, probably killed a lot of other people. I think Demaryius Thomas was missed on a potential touchdown at the end of that Denver game, which would have helped things out there. And he's got Baker Mayfield, so this is another team with 3 quarterbacks. Maybe this is one of the teams that's in on your sweepstakes. I don't know, because that's what I was trying to count who has enough quarterbacks to trade you on. But that's everybody on last week. We're at about 11:10, so I don't know if anybody wants to talk about anything else or just blow through the schedule for next week and see who's up and on that.
Eric, you've been quiet. What are you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, you guys are talking about teams. I haven't been following it as much just because I'm not happy with my team. Let's see. Is there anything that was crazy last week that I needed to touch on? No, I feel like the teams that we expected to do good for the most part are doing well. And the teams that, there's no big surprise yet. I think everyone's playing is expected for the most part.
I'm glad I was expected at 3-1, 4-1, whatever, however many weeks we're at. But yeah, no, I don't think there's any ridiculous surprises. I think I thought it was funny. I was up this morning. I shared the power rankings. I thought it was funny that at 2-2, House Swan was up there. I think at 2-2, House Cockshaw is also up in the top 10 in the league. So I just thought that was funny that however MFL ranks those, that they had those 2 in there, and it was fairly split. Mike had talked about how there's 5 teams from Fire and 5 teams from Ice. I think 4 of the top 5 are from Ice, with the exception of Targaryen being the one Fire team that's in the top 5. But we'll see how things go as we kind of play across divisions. I think the across conference is week 11 and 12. I think that's the only time that there's cross conference. I could be wrong, but we'll see when things get to that point. It should be a good battle. For next week on the schedule, we have the Faceless Men versus House Dondarrion. Of course, I don't have the stupid scoreboard up, so I can't see who's on a bye and who's not. But for this matchup, since it's mine, I know that Trubisky's on a bye, so Matt doesn't have a quarterback. I can't remember if he doesn't have anybody else. But the only addition to his lineup is the possibility of starting Devontae Freeman next week if he plays. Other than that, I'm not really worried about this matchup. I'm going to take myself. We also have Harding versus Reed. Harding put up 170 last week. Reed put up 144. I'm not sure I see Reed putting up those kind of numbers again. Probably a House Harding win next week, and he rolls to what would be 5-0. Royce and Bolton, not going to waste time on that. That's Royce picking up an easy win, going 3-2. Stark versus Baelish, and again, not worth the time. Stark with an easy win, going 3-2. Forrester and Egan. So this must be the cupcake week. Forrester over Egan fairly easily. 4-1 for Forrester, and Egan will fall to 1-4. The cupcakes keep on rolling in. Free Folk versus Brotherhood, an easy win for Free Folk. Not good news for Eric in terms of trying to catch him. Free Folk should go to 5-0 fairly easily. Pelly versus Night's Watch. This is probably the first good game of the week, I would think, up to this point. It's probably the first one worth talking about. Again, I don't have the buys put up in front of me because of the screen I'm looking on. But with what the starting lineups were last week, it looks like this will be a fairly close one. And I'm just in terms of record, Night's Watch is 1-3. Tully is 2-2. I probably would lean towards Tully winning this matchup. Greyjoy and White Walkers. If Greyjoy was here, he'd probably say he's worried about White Walkers, like he is for every other person, but he shouldn't be. Greyjoy is going to roll here. We can take 2 seconds to talk about White Walkers, not the way that he probably thinks, but who came out with the White Walker whiskey? That was Johnny Johnny Walker. So that Game of Thrones whiskey came out. I don't know if it either came out on Friday or is coming out on Friday. But the bottle glows or lights up or changes colors when it's cold or something. So that's pretty cool. And then they have the 8 different malts, which should be really, I think there are 8. That should be really cool. I'm definitely interested in finding out where those all are at. And everything that goes into those. Speaking of, I think there's been 2 or 3 people that have talked about that, and they're like, "Oh, Secret Santa." So I put House Swan in charge of Secret Santa. It is October. She's gonna get that together and get it ready and get everything going, so that we aren't as rushed around as we were last year. So I put her in charge of the Secret Santa committee. Children plays Mallister. I'm trying to think of what teams have to bye next week.
Bears and Bucks.
Other than the Bears. Okay, so nobody.
I got Jordan Howard.
Yeah, so does he. So it would have matched out anyways. So other than that, he's got Cam Newton coming back into his lineup, so he'll probably sub Cam Newton in for Jordan Howard. I don't know, man. This is a tough one. I want to give you the win. I don't know. I haven't followed you enough to see where you're averaging in terms of points per game. But I want to say Mallister's probably up around 120 points a game.
Yeah, he's got 30 more points than me.
Okay. So this one will be close. Honestly, I could see this one coming down to the tight end play. I've said this about Mallister's team a couple times. You've got Kelsey. He doesn't really have one. So maybe that'll be the difference maker there for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a trade too, so I don't know if my team's going to be the same, but I don't know. I can't find any suitable traders. Anyone that is interested in a big player like Hopkins doesn't offer anything. It's not anything anyone would ever accept. So I'm stuck here with a couple studs, and everybody else is just kind of eh.
Yeah, I hear you on that. The trading market in the league is definitely weirder than I thought it would be. I don't know if I commented on it last week or not, but I felt like there are a lot of teams that don't have tight ends that are trying to compete, and there's a bunch of teams that aren't competing that have tight ends. Bolton being one of them. There's a couple other teams that what's the point of keeping these tight ends moving while people are willing to buy? Same thing with the scat back running backs. So it's interesting. I think maybe some people are tentative, thinking that the market is going to absolutely blow up and they're going to get paid 2-3 times what the player's worth. But I doubt that's going to happen. So I think if we stay patient, it's going to turn into a buyer's market here at some point. It's going to have to, especially for some of these teams that have no hope of winning a game going forward. Speaking of no hope, Tyrell has no hope next week against House Bainfort, Chicago, and the Bucks. So Bainfort will have his full roster. Tyrell will have his full starting lineup, minus Will Dissly, who is on IR, so he's going to have to start probably Jordan Reed next week. I think Bainfort rolls there. Another cupcake matchup, Lannister over Boulware. I think that one goes to Lannister fairly easily. Unless there's a hidden buy in there, which I don't see one looking at the teams. He has no Bears, no Bucks. Hightower and Payne. This one's interesting. I don't think bye weeks affect this one. Hightower on paper is the better team, but we've said that all along. He's only 2-2. House Payne is also 2-2. Quarterback play here, so he's not going to have Trubisky. So Payne's going to be down a quarterback. He subbed in Kiki QT for Mitchell Trubisky. I can't imagine that's going to be a good thing, even though QT had a good week last week. So Hightower probably picks up, or probably should, if pick up the win this week against Payne. Cockshaw and Casterly. Casterly hasn't won yet, so don't know how you can pick him to win. So Cockshaw over Casterly. Targaryen and Sand Snakes. So this is where it starts to get interesting because I'm going to want to pick against Targaryen. I just don't see it. Sand Snake's quarterbacks are Bethard and Keenum. Matt Ryan's been absolutely on fire for Targaryen. He probably outscores both of those guys combined. Gordon's going to be canceled out here. McCoy's done absolutely nothing. I don't know how you could start him. Yeah, so I think Targaryen wins. It's probably not really even much of a debate. Swan versus Bank. This is interesting. So Swan's put up 150, 160 points the last 2 weeks. She has lost her quarterback. She doesn't have any Bucks or Bears. Bank does have a Buck, so he'll be down a quarterback. So it'll be a matchup of Breeze versus Brady and company. Mike, you worried about your matchup this week? I don't even know if Mike's still there. I haven't heard from him in a while.
No, I've completed said sweepstakes. So, again, probably it would be a loss of value if you look at it as player to player, but probably still something I'm comfortable with based off what I gave up for the player. Santee won the sweepstakes, so gave up Jarvis Landry for Ryan Tannehill. So I have my second quarterback, and Santee has a good player going forward.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill's getting thrown around a lot. He got moved in Marvel for Sonny Michel. Not really a move I was really a fan of.
The fuck?
But we'll see. We'll see. What do you mean the fuck? I'd rather have Michelle.
No. The Browns trade.
What Browns trade?
Sorry. I know you don't like to mix leagues, but Baker Mayfield has got given up for Lamar Jackson, Miles Sanders, and N'Keal Harry.
What league is that in?
Cleveland.
Oh, my league. I was like, what the fuck do you mean Cleveland? What are we talking about? Yeah, that's interesting. So, maybe we can talk about that one for 2 seconds if I can get it to pull up on my phone. Because I've already forgotten who you said got traded. I heard N'Keal Harry. I heard Baker Mayfield. My phone's not.
Miles Sanders.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Lamar Jackson's probably worthless in that, not in Dynasty, but in that's only a 1 QB league. So Lamar Jackson's probably worthless in that format. I don't know who McCoy has as a quarterback. I don't even know who McCoy is. I have to look.
Everyone's
yeah, that's an interesting one.
He just gave up a top 3 running back in this class and a top 3 quarterback. I'm sorry, receiver in this class.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I'm sorry. Switching leagues.
He has Russell Wilson too, so I don't know why he did that. But yeah, so it's not the best of trades. I probably am more upset about N'Keal Harry. Miles Sanders would be interesting to see if how he translates to the NFL or projects to the NFL. He's just Quan Barkley, but N'Keal Harry is probably the bigger give up there. But we'll see how things go. Maybe he thinks it's Superflex. I have no idea. But yeah, so did you answer? Are you worried about Swan? So now you have Tannehill. So you've got your 2 quarterbacks against her. Are you worried about the matchup? Not worried about the matchup? You're worried? Of course you're worried. You like Greyjoy. Of course you're worried. It'll be close. I think it'll be close. I mean, like I said, she's put up 150, 160 points. It's really just going to come down to Kamara. If Kamara scores 35, 40 points like he is, then it's going to be close. If he doesn't, I would foresee you winning.
Well, I think Barkley will cancel out Kamara. So it's going to come down to the rest of where things line up. I think having 2 quarterbacks is going to help me. I think Tannehill will bounce back. I think Breeze will bounce back. I think I've got enough other players that can step up and bounce back. But starting to get to that point where my depth is getting a little thin at this point. So we'll see where things go. But definitely compared to where I was 3 weeks ago, feeling the pinch.
Yeah, and so it updated on my screen here. So Santikar does have Jarvis Landry on as I scroll down here. Santikar versus Fells, the next matchup. both teams probably are undeservedly. Santa Claus 1-3, but now just made a move where he only has one quarterback, and that quarterback being Andy Dalton. So I'm not sure that that's really the type of move you make if you're competing. I don't know if he has any other picks to flip to try to get a quarterback or any other plans to get another quarterback. But after seeing what Tannehill goes down for, anybody else that was selling, you've got White Walkers that's got 4 and Alex Smith and Josh Allen being the worst of those. You probably are gonna hold off until you get a Jarvis Landry light piece. So if Santy has plans to buy a second quarterback, he probably just made it tougher for himself. In terms of the matchup here, I want to give Hausfeld a win. So I'm gonna. This is close. So this is probably the Night's Watch matchup. Your matchup. I have probably been only the 3 or 4 that I've thought are really like could go either way or really worth monitoring over the course of the next week.
I think Fell is going to be interesting because honestly, Eric, if you're going to look for a deal, go to Fell because I love what he's got at running back, but especially with Winston coming back, he's got nothing at receiver. So he's the perfect guy to go to and replenish your running back core for D-Hop because then you can start D-Hop with a strong running back core once everyone's back and, compete.
Yeah, maybe I'll send him an offer.
Yeah, he's got Mixon, he's got Connor, he's got Freeman. Yeldon's been outstanding in the absence of Fournette. That's one of those things where I don't know who the other Fournette owner is, or who the Fournette owners are. I think one's Bainford. I don't know who the other one is. If you don't own T.J. Yeldon and you have Leonard Fournette, you probably need to get you some T.J. Yeldon. Eric and I have Eric has him on his roster in doubles. Him being Fournette, but I think either I have Yeldon or he has Yeldon. Or like that's just like an easy like you have to do that at this point. So maybe trade TJ Yeldon there, Hausfeld, but we'll see. So he's got him in starting for next week, which I don't think he had him starting last week. So we'll see how things go there. And that's all the matchups for next week. We hit on the one trade that went down. I don't think there were too many others that went down that are worth talking about since we last podcast. I can check for you, but other than that, we can probably get ready to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, unless you guys want to make trades, let's close it out.
Yeah. So there were. I don't know when. What is today? September. Yeah, so we probably discussed it briefly, but there was the Folk and Children made a trade last week. Devontae Freeman and Austin Carr for Carlos Hyde and St. Jones. That's an interesting one. If Freeman comes back this week against Pittsburgh, that probably helps Eric out because Pittsburgh's defense has been absolutely terrible, and it would be a good get going game for Freeman. Bank and Cox had a deal where Brady and Latavius Murray went for Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston. Egan and Bank had a deal where I don't know. Did you send this to him or did he send this to you? Essentially, one of the 201s got sent for George Kittle, which is a good get for you. And then the only other trade I think was the one that more recently, Ryan Tannehill for Jarvis Landry. So that rounds out the trades for the last week, and rounds out a good quick discussion on last week, this next week, and what's going on in between. So Mike, thanks for sticking out the storm and joining us. Eric, thanks for stopping in. Sure. I love the Clinton Dix jersey. Thanks. And until next time, see ya.